Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. I wanted to go live today to offer you a bonus class and to talk a little bit about consonant sounds and vowel sounds. So I've been taking your requests for words and phrases that you'd like help with. And a good question came in, which was asking about consonant sounds and vowel sounds. So let's break down a little bit what the difference is between a consonant and a vowel sound, give you some examples, and then I'll show you some resources to help you correctly pronounce all of the consonant sounds and all of the vowel sounds of American English. So the main definition of a consonant sound versus a vowel sound when we're talking about sounds is how they're made in the mouth. When we're talking about letters, when we look at consonant letters, we have first of all, for vowels, we have the vowel letters A, E, I, O, and U. And sometimes Y functions as a vowel letter. And then for consonants, it's all of the other letters. But right now, we're not talking about letters. We're actually talking about the sounds of English. So if you've been watching my videos, if you have done any of our training, our online courses on speechmodification.com, one of the things I talk about is the difference between the letter and the sound. Because of course, you know, in English, the same vowel, the same written letter can make many different sounds in English. And we have been talking about that in recent videos. It's a great way to learn about the sounds versus the letters. Is a great way to improve your pronunciation, because sometimes errors happen just because of how something is spelled. So in this class, we're talking about sounds and not letters. The definition basically of a consonant sound is that there's going to be some kind of point of contact in your mouth. So when I'm talking about a consonant sound, I can tell you what you're doing with your tongue or your lips or your teeth, any of those things. Something is touching something else, typically. So for example, we have consonant sounds that are called bilabial consonants, like the sound. I put my lips together, and that is part of what makes the sound. Or the B sound, the b. That's a sound where you put the lips together, you stop the air, and you release it. So it's called a stopped consonant. So we have both the place that the sound is made. We have the manner in which the sound is made. So the air can be stopped, like b. It can continue, like m. M is also called a nasal sound because, as you can see, no air can come out of my mouth when I'm saying it. So the resonance happens more in the nose, and the air is released from the nose. The TH sound, for example, the tongue rests slightly between the teeth. So if I'm saying th, like think, or th, like the, it's called an interdental because my tongue is between my teeth. Or, for example, the K and G sounds, k and g. The back of my tongue is lifting. It's touching against the top of my mouth and then releasing. So these are just some examples, but typically when you're looking at consonant sounds, and if you're looking at accent error patterns for consonant sounds, it may be that you're making it in the wrong place or with the wrong manner, or there's a few other elements, voicing some other elements of consonant sounds. And so understanding how the consonant is made, how your mouth should be shaped, what should be touching what, is extremely useful in being able to produce the consonant sounds. Whereas with vowel sounds, it's a little trickier because nothing is touching anything else. So a vowel sound depends on the shape of my tongue and how much space there is in my mouth. So the examples I have here and that I like to use are the E sound, like in green and tea, which is called a high front vowel. And this is because when I'm saying E, the resonance happens in the front of my mouth and my tongue is up high. That's a little bit harder to feel. It's easier for me to tell you to say the B sound by putting your lips together and releasing. To say E, it's tougher to feel. I use the example E because most of you no matter what your native language is, many languages have an E sound, and it's typically the same, made the same way in English, in German, in Mandarin, in French. And so it's a good anchor point for you to learn about vowel sounds and where to start. So saying the E sound, Then to feel the contrast of the space in your mouth, let's also try this vowel, ah. So ah is called an open back vowel because there's a lot of openness within the mouth. The resonance happens more in the back rather than the front. Again, not something that you can feel initially or understand, but also ah is a typical sound in many, many languages. So you probably have an E and an ah in your language, which are probably almost exactly the same as the E and the ah in American English. When I do that contrast, if I say E, ah, I can typically feel E, my mouth isn't very open, E, my tongue fills up most of my mouth. And if I can visualize it, E, there's just like a little space between my tongue and the front of my lips and teeth where that sound happens. That's why it sounds like an E, because the shape of where the air vibrates makes that sound. When I say ah, especially if I move from E to ah, I can feel ah. I have to open my mouth more. Ah, my tongue is down at the bottom rather than filling up the whole space. Ah, and then there's more opening in the back for that sound to resonate there, which is why that sounds like ah. If you think about it, we here in the US and probably other places too, the doctor might tell you, say ah, if they're trying to look in the back of your throat. If you think about that, ah, they're saying that because your tongue is down and out of the way and they can see all the way back in your mouth. It gives them more opening. So those are two of the extremes with vowel sounds, the E and the ah. And then along the way, there's other tongue positions for all of the different vowel sounds of English. So part of what we do in our Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com is give you some resources to feel where all of those sounds are, both the consonant sounds where something touches and the vowel sounds where something doesn't. Let me just show you a few elements from that course so you can get an idea if you might find it useful for you. I do talk about each sound in videos here on YouTube as well. But if you go to speechmodification.com and you go to our courses page, look here, here's our Sounds of English course. And I'm going to go ahead and log into the course and show you. Particularly with vowel sounds, I think it's useful to be able to see and visualize what's happening with the tongue, because oftentimes, for example, when I'm talking about the E versus the I sound, it's much harder to feel that distinction. I can feel E to ah more clearly because they're very extreme. Whereas the E to I, my tongue is a little bit lower. It's not quite as tense. It's not quite as far forward, but that's much harder to feel. So looking at, let's look at the vowel sounds just generally, and we can look at E and I a little bit as well to see if that's useful for you. So we have a way of representing the sounds where, just like we were saying, we have the E sound in let's just zoom in a little bit for you so we can see that a little bit more clearly. When we are talking about the E sound, like in green tea, we put that here in the top front corner of the mouth. So this shape is meant to represent the shape of my mouth if I were turned to the side, and E is near the front and ah is more open and near the back. And so we have symbols, the IPA symbols for each of the sounds. We have anchor words like green tea and not hot to help you start to associate those sounds with specific words and how they're spelled. And this is an overview, a graphic for all of the different vowel sounds of English. I've taught many, many different classes on vowel sounds, and giving you some resources to understand the shape of the vowel sounds. I think that's one of the biggest advantages of learning the different sounds of English is being able to feel that difference. So recently I made a video about the schwa sound and the ah sound. For many people, when they're trying to say a word like nut and a word like not, they're very similar to each other. That's just because if I'm saying the schwa, like nut, my tongue is central and relaxed. My jaw is not very open. And the ah, we already talked about, my jaw is more open. It's an open back vowel. And so in many languages, you don't have this schwa, this sound. And so it's easier for you to say ah. So you might be saying instead of was or fun, you might say it more like was or fun. Have a tendency to do something closer to the ah vowel. So generally speaking, vowel sounds are trickier than consonants in terms of getting oriented to how they're made. I do think that once you get that sense, let me give you one more example. For example, we have the E sound here in the high front sounds. So if I'm going through the sounds of English in the front, I can do kind of E, I, A, ah. Now, if I'm just trying to say those sounds by themselves, that's very challenging. Even in words like, for example, bead, bid, bade, bed, bad, you might find that difficult. But if I start to be able to feel how open and how tense my tongue should be on each one, I can. You can watch my tongue if I say bead, bid, bade, bed, bad. My tongue is getting lower and my jaws slightly more open as I work through those front vowels. So I'm not going to talk about every vowel in this class today, but I wanted to give you a sense of consonant sounds versus vowel sounds, and also remind you to think about sounds versus just letters. Now, we do have some consistent spelling for sounds, and there's a lot you can learn about spelling that will help with pronunciation. But getting oriented to what is a consonant, what is a vowel, and how to work on those, how to become aware of your patterns is really very useful. So thank you to the person who requested that I talk about consonants and vowels. And this does come up often in our Word of the Day classes and our Friday free classes. You can get some more specific videos, as I mentioned, on speechmodification.com. So I hope you'll check out that course. And for our channel members, we've also been going through each week and talking about the sounds of English and going in depth on each sound, talking about answering questions and giving you resources. That's a playlist, our Sounds of English Challenge playlist that's available to our channel members. If you haven't yet checked into becoming a channel member, it's a great way to support the channel. You can join at different levels of membership, and we offer perks for those channel members, including an extra free question and answer class. Channel members can ask their questions at any time throughout the week, and I collect those, answer them all on Sundays, and they can also attend live on Sundays to ask questions. Thank you so much, everyone, for all of the great questions, suggestions, and comments. Keep those coming. It helps me know what subjects to cover in our upcoming classes. I hope to see you in tomorrow's Word of the Day class, as well as on Friday in our regular question and answer class. Thanks, everyone. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everyone. See you soon.